Today on Unity Motorsports Garage, we're going to talk about the untold truth behind the EV push in this country. Stay tuned. Before I get into talking about the EV situation, I think it's important to talk about who Andy Wood is. Something I've never really discussed on my YouTube channel. I work for Daimler Truck. We build medium-duty Freightliner trucks here in Mount Holly, North Carolina, and where I've been a proud member of UAW Local 5285 for that entire time. So, how does that play into the EV situation? Well, it's simple. In my works with the United Auto Workers, I have traveled the country and I have actually talked to other UAW members about the situation that's coming up with the Big Three negotiations. The Big Three negotiations consist of GM, Ford, and Stellantis, otherwise known as Chrysler, and that is going to be the subject of the push for EVs. So I know this video is completely out of pocket for me and this channel. That's okay. But the one thing that I want to express to my viewers and everyone who's going to watch this is a video that I've been convicted to do. This is a video of conviction. As you can see, being a true gearhead, you know, I love carburetors, stuff like that. I mean, I'm a true gearhead. And I'm not opposed to electric vehicles by any imagination. But the thing that I am against is the exploitation of the auto workers that's being used as a pawn in this EV game in this country. Now you may say, what are you talking about? Well, the push for EVs has not been an overnight deal. This has been nearly a decade in the making. If you go back and you look at history of what's happened with the Big Three in this country, you can see small changes that has gotten us to the point where we're at. Ford, GM, and Chrysler or Stellantis have all but quit making all regular passenger cars here in the US. Stellantis still has the Charger and Challenger, but GM and Ford, on the other hand, they quit making the Taurus, any kind of sedan car here in the US. We have to understand that EV production in this country is going to totally shift the game as far as our economy. You have to understand that we have engine plants, we have transmission plants, we have driveline facilities, and many other vendors that are associated to the normal production of the current state automobile. And with EVs coming onto the scene, you can already see that GM and Ford are now adopting the Tesla charging system. That is to try to streamline things, because what's happening is the auto manufacturers are looking at the short term. They want to get on the gains of profitability instead of looking down the road at what the forecast could actually mean. You would think that the auto manufacturers are all of a sudden concerned about the environment. No, I don't think so. Maybe some, but most of it is revolving around job elimination and getting people in there to produce these batteries, these cars in non-union facilities. This is a major problem. As you can see, years ago, it was once stated that, and I don't know the exact fact now or the number, but for every auto worker, there was 7 other jobs affected in this country. You have to remember that our entire economy is based on the automotive world, whether we realize it or not. That's how it came to be from the 1920s forward. So what are the other industries that are affected by the auto industry? Well, every town has a dealership. A dealership that employs auto technicians who work on internal combustion engines. Every town has auto parts stores that sell parts for internal combustion engines. So basically a whole industry outside of that, not to mention the service stations, the convenience stores, and the list goes on, that are affected by EV production if it comes to pass. In fact, a study was done by the Department of Labor that says that if by 2030, if EV production reaches 50% of all auto manufacture here in the US, it would attribute to the loss of 75,000 jobs in the US. And then when you figure in the trickle-down effect from that into other industries, what are we actually looking at here? Now, I'm a huge proponent for technology, believe it or not, even though I'm an analog guy. But at what point is technology the enemy? Because we all want to be able to work and provide for our families and have a decent wage and earn a living, and to be able to retire with dignity. So taking the big three, since the bailout around 2008, they have made over $250 billion.
14 billion in profits last year. GM made over 13 billion in profits. Ford made over 9 billion. Collectively, the big three have made just under $250 billion in profits in North America between 2013 and 2022. That's trillion with a T, as in time to pay up. It's trillion with a T, as in time to end tears.
Our members were never made whole from the sacrifices we made in 2009. But you know who was? Yeah, you guessed it. The big three executives have lavished themselves with fat salaries while auto workers continue to live paycheck to paycheck. Yes, paycheck to paycheck. And can't even keep up with inflation. Remember that the next time you hear them say, "We are family."
Okay, $250 billion. And over $20 billion just this year in the first half. Think about that. Meanwhile, wages of the auto industry have remained stagnant for nearly the past 20 years. That is a problem, you know, and it's not a problem just for the auto industry, it's a problem throughout the entire country. Inflation has taken on to an all-new high. The cost of living and many of the concessions that had to be made back, part of that bailout deal was for the auto workers to lose their cost of living allowance raises, lose their pensions, health care, and we can't afford to have a race to the bottom as far as this country is concerned. In my opinion, what I call that is class warfare. I know the EVs are going to be on the horizon and they're going to come eventually. But what's happening is these auto manufacturers are going to your legislators. Now, this is not a Democrat or Republican slight. This is an American problem. I don't care which party you belong to. The auto manufacturers are going and getting money from the government to build battery plants here in the U.S. I understand that we want those jobs to be here in the U.S., but for us to be funding foreign companies, that's a problem. I'm going to give you an example. In 1980-79, Chrysler received a bailout. It was huge news in 1979. In fact, they had to testify before Congress to make it happen. The government gave Chrysler $1.5 billion in 1979, and adjusted for inflation today, that would be nearly over $5 billion. That sounds like a lot. What you're not being told in the news, with all of the other crazy headlines that's going on, just the past month, the government gave Ford and another company $9 billion to build a plant here in the United States. Now, the issue comes from what kind of jobs is that going to be? Because you got to remember the internal combustion engine plants, the drivetrain plants of the UAW, of the big three, have traditionally been good paying, high wage jobs. And so now they're wanting to create these new plants and bring people in making 16 bucks an hour. That is unacceptable. And why do I feel convicted to talk about this? Because I care about this country, and I care about the people and the generations that we're going to leave this country to. You know, I give the example of the automatic teller line at the grocery store.
I saw it all going wrong when it began in the supermarkets, when they replaced all the women on the till with those automated checkouts.
No, that's not our fault. I hate those things. I always have.
Oh, standard.
They drive me mad.
Yes, but you didn't do anything, did you? 20 years ago, when they first popped up, did you walk out? Did you write letters of complaint? Did you shop elsewhere? No. You huffed and you puffed and you put up with it. And now all those women are gone. And we let it happen.
No, but we're still...
And I think we do like them, those checkouts. We want them. Because it means we can stroll through, pick up our shopping, and we don't have to look that woman in the eye. The woman who's paid less than us. She's gone. We got rid of her. Sacked. Well done. So yes, it's our fault.
What it all comes down to, folks, is job elimination. And I, for one, am tired of it. I think it's ethically wrong, and I think it's time for this country to do the right thing by its people. And as far as the UAW is concerned, solidarity now, solidarity forever in the upcoming negotiations with the big three. It's getting close to the crunch time. So I ask you to share this video with all of your friends and family, because this is something that we really need to get engaged in as an American people, because it's going to affect us at some point down the road. I'll get off my soapbox now. So until next time, this is Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage. I will catch you later.